Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Magic Monday over with Flamez Plays. Today I'm going to show you a mono green deck called Infect, and it's in Pauper. Everything is a common. And this deck is actually incredibly cheap, and if you play it, most people are going to think you are very cheap. The reason being because of the fact that it's a very hated deck, and the reason being is with Infect, you deal poison damage. You do not deal regular combat damage. So, you'll end up only needing to deal 10 damage to actually kill your opponent, versus your opponent having to do 20 to kill you. Now, you might be thinking, well, doesn't that mean they're going to be very aggressive towards you? Well, we have tricks to get rid of to protect our creatures, and we have tricks to protect ourselves as well. I'll show you that shortly. First, let's cover the creatures. So, as you see here, we have our first one drop. This is a Glistener Elf, and its ability is Infect. So, Infect, the actual wording for Infect reads, this creature deals damage to creatures in the form of -1/-1 counters, and in players in the form of poison counters. Well, poison counters, again, only need 10 of them to kill your opponent, so you only have to deal 10 damage. Our first two drop is Blight Mamba. It has Infect as well, and also for 1 and a green, you can regenerate Blight Mamba. Well, so now we have a recursive, not really recursive, but respawning Infect creature. As long as you have 2 mana floating, you can always regenerate this now. To make sure that if you are going to regenerate this, you enable the regenerate before it dies. I've actually, when I first started playing the deck in MTGO, accidentally let Blight Mama die, thinking that the trigger for regenerate would ask me if I want to pay it. Didn't realize that. I just want to save you from the embarrassment. We also have an Ichor Mirror. It has Infect as well. It's a 1/1 for 2. With whenever it becomes blocked, it gets +2 and +2 until end of turn. So, if an opponent blocks it with a 1/1, it's going to die regardless. If an opponent blocks it with a 2/1, Ichor Mirror becomes a 3/3 until end of turn, deals the damage. Now, what if our opponent blocks it with a 4/4? Now remember, Infect lets you put -1/-1 counters on the opponent's creatures instead of actually dealing combat damage. Now those counters do not leave at end of turn. So for the rest of that game, or until the creature dies, that 4/4 creature is now a 1/1 creature. So that's an annoyance. Now, you might be thinking, well, if we have these 1/1 creatures, we're not going to be able to deal much damage. Well, that's where you're wrong. We have cards like Mutagenic Growth, which gives +2/+2 until end of turn for 1 green, or, as you see right there, that is Phyrexian mana in the top right-hand corner. So that can be played with a green mana, or forest mana, or it could be paid with 2 life. So most times you actually would want to pay the 2 life to leave your mana available for other options. So we also have another card, Giant Growth. So our creature gets +3 until end of turn. So you could play Vines of Vastwood for 1 green, in which case target creature can't be the target of spells or abilities your opponents control this turn, which basically gives a protection from your opponent, which is nice, because then it can't be targeted by lightning bolts. You could play this in response to a lightning bolt, and since they've already targeted, but now you're saying you can't target me, their lightning bolt will fizzle. But if you pay an extra green as you cast it, it gets +4/+4 until end of turn. So that's protection plus a pump spell. Our next one is Groundswell. Target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn, but if you have a land that enters the battlefield during this turn, it gets +4/+4 instead. Then we've got Titanic Growth. For 1 color, or for 1 generic and a green, target creature gets +4/+4 until end of turn. And Predator Strike. For 1 and a green, target creature gets +3/+3 and gains Trample. Now, Trample is actually very important in this deck. I want to tell you mainly because that Ichor Claw Mirror, since it becomes a 3/3 if it gets blocked, you make it a 6/6 with Trample, and if they block with the 2/2, you're dealing 4 poison damage to their face. So the last spell, and as you see, it is non-green, is Apostle's Blessing. And Apostle's Blessing, you're going to have to pay the 2 mana or 2 life to be able to cast it. But for 1 color, or for 1 green mana in this deck, basically, and for 2 life, Target artifact or creature you control gains protection from artifacts or from the color of your choice until end of turn. Now this is a last-ditch effort, where if your creature is about to die due into combat because suddenly you had a pump spell trade-off where you're now facing down a 9/9 with your own 9/9, and you need to make sure that that creature stays alive, you can play Apostle's Blessing, and that'll actually bring it back in, or keep it in. Or if they're going to cast something like Journey to Nowhere, or any other spell that would target your creature and get it out of battle, you could play Apostle's Blessing, and for the small price of your own life, keep your creature around. So the ideal play would be turn 1 Glistening Elf, turn 2 play a land, Groundswell, and then Mutagenic Growth. That is a turn 2 kill, easily. So I'm actually going to show you how this deck plays, and we'll go to those games right now. So we're in our first game here. We've got Groundswell, Vines of Vastwood, Blight Mamba, 2 Acre Claw Mirrors. We're going to keep this, since we have the land to play everything we need. Ooh, Carnophage. They're playing the aggressive zombie deck. I actually really enjoy this one. I have it myself, and I will be sure to cover this one point in time. The way it works is that they'll end up losing a lot of life just by keeping their zombies on board, whereas the problem being is we don't care about life. So they're technically going to be able to kill us at the same turn clock that we might be able to kill them. Whenever another creature enters battlefield, you lose 1 life. Yep. So, which one do we actually want to do? We're going to do Acre Clear, I think. Acre Claw. So they lose life. They're not going to tap that. No way they're going to do that. So our opponent's probably going to be very hesitant to actually swing in with both creatures if they don't have a third creature to play, and the reason being is you don't want to leave yourself open to Infect. Once you do, you really have no outs. So we're not going to block this. We're going to go down 13. Not a huge deal. Not something to really worry all too much about. Okay, we got Titanic Growth, Groundswell. I will drop that. Alright, so we want to play this correctly. Or let's see if he's got any kind of response. Not going to declare blockers, of course. We're going to Groundswell. That makes him a 5/5. Perfect. Actually, that's great. That's exactly what we want. Actually, no, that's not. Actually, if we play this correctly, so if I have Vines of Vastwood right now, his Nameless Inversion would fizzle, but we want that +3/+3. So we're actually going to Titanic Growth him. So he becomes a 5/5. He drops him down to a 8/2, and then he becomes a 12/6, and our opponent concedes. I don't have a sideboard in this deck. I haven't. It's a very simple deck, and I really can't think of anything to add to it that'll make it any better. But let's see what our opponents. I'm honestly surprised we haven't gotten any angry messages in our chat yet from him. He's gonna decide if he wants to play or not. We've got 1 mana. No, we got a mulligan this one. Ship this one away. Mulligan this one away as well. All right, we have to keep this. Put it on top. We're gonna keep that. So turn 3, I think we can go off. That's it. He's gonna get trample. So if he blocks, I mean, he's gonna keep someone back just to be able to block. So if he blocks, that's a nice bump up in power. And then we'll have landfall, so we get 6. So it's either going to be 6 or 8. And then it'll get green trample until end of turn. So if he blocks with a 1/1, that could be just enough. Let's see what else we draw. If I can get, we can get something better. And you always want something better, though, don't you? The land, not a great addition, but enough. Right. Opponent's going to start losing 2 life per turn. Duress. Ooh, okay, so he's going to get rid of Groundswell most likely. Or, oh yeah, he does. Personally, I would have taken the Predator Strike just because of the fact that the trample is a much bigger concern, in my eyes at least. No blocks. Why would I? So at this point, I think I'm going to bring Blight Mamba in. Just so I have some creature redundancy going on. If he can get rid of Ichor Clawmere or anything like that, I don't want to have all my eggs in one basket. And we're gonna attack in with Ichor Clawmere, of course. Just for the extra 1 ping of damage. And pass the turn. If our opponent has another Duress, it's going to be very disappointing. I feel like our opponent was also starved on lands a bit. Oh, there we go, another Duress. He's going to take the Predator Strike. I should have spent it last turn. Oh well. I mean, I could also just regenerate the Blight Mamba during blocks, just so his Carnophage becomes a 1/1, which he's paying 1 life for, so it's a very bad trade-off at that point. Okay, back to our turn. Oh, looks like he got a Carrion Feeder. Okay. So, how do we want to play this? Let's go to combat, of course. Going in with both. It's fine and dandy. Let's see what we got to play. Hopefully not another Duress. That'd be unpleasant. But not unheard of. It was for attackers? Actually, Carrion Feeder. Oh, really? Carrion Feeder can't block. Forgot about that fact. Ooh. Okay. So we're looking down 5 damage right here. We need to be able to deal... We need to be able to deal 7 damage right now. Glistening Elf doesn't do it. Okay, so Ichor Clawmere can't regenerate Blight Mamba and Ichor Clawmere. I could Predator Strike at that. Okay, I like that play. We're going to attack. Actually, do I want to do anything else with this? No, I don't think so. Opponent's at 8. Oh, I think I punted this game, to be honest. Could have done a bit better with it. Yeah, he's gonna swing him with all, figured. Yeah. And that's game. Unless he's, nope, he's not gonna accidentally do that. Oh well. Then let's return to sideboarding. With the deck. Yeah, I had a few misplays that game, that's for sure. Definitely should have played that first Predator Strike a lot earlier. But, you win some, you lose some. Back here, yep, we're gonna play first. Playing first is never a bad thing with this deck, that's for sure. We're gonna keep this. This is for sure. We got Blight Mama on turn 2, then turn 3 we got Giant Growth and Predator Strike, or Groundswell and Predator Strike, or Groundswell or Giant Growth if there's no blockers. Once again with the turn 1 Carnophage. Another Apostle's Blessing. No. I wish we had the mana available to leave Apostle's Blessing up, but yeah. Let's see if he's going to swing in with Carnophage. I'm actually interested in seeing if he will or not. Looks like he's playing Duress. Great. Probably going to take Groundswell again. Yep. Oh, Groundswell. Oh well. Bring in Orlando, we can Giant Growth, Predator Strike, hit him for 7? 7 poison, which is not a bad turn 2 play at all. Be nice to get a Mutagenic Growth as well, but... Oh, there we go, another land. He's completely tapped out. I have no concerns about swinging in at all. Declare attackers. Any blockers? No blockers. Boosh. Boop boop. 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 Now, I would like to have been able to leave an extra mana up for Apostle's Blessing, but the zombie deck he's playing, at least the builds I'm aware of, don't really play much removal. They're just very low to the ground aggro, where I'm not too worried about having to keep my Blight Mamba alive. I'd like to, of course, but not a huge deal. Plus, he doesn't have anything to... Or he can grasp the darkness it. Yep. I should have seen that coming. Oh well. So we're staring down 4 damage again. Not a huge concern. Where were you last turn? Alright. It's pretty safe to say he's going to pay the 2 life to keep them both up. And he swings them. And a Duress. Oh well. Probably going to take Mutagenic Growth, realistically. Yep. Called it. Shepherd of Rot. Drew a Forest. Not what we want at all right now. So you're witnessing one of the issues with the Infect deck is we don't have any card draw. Once we're out of creatures, we are stuck just hoping to top deck one. Meanwhile, our opponent gets to run rampant. Swings in for 5 damage. Oh, nope. Okay, yeah. So he's going to deal the 4 damage here and then hit me for 3 off a Shepherd of Rot. Or not. So target creature gets +3/+3 and gains trample until end of turn. Not useful. He's gonna probably Shepherd of Rot my end turn. If he does that, then yeah, I'll scoop it. Yep. And that's the scoop. Okay, so we just finished up our game of Infect, and as you saw there, it's a very simple deck. It's basically just play a creature, pump up the creature, swing in, deal 10 points of damage, done. You also saw the main flaw about it, where if you run out of cards, you're dead and you're just waiting to draw another creature. The best hand, I would say, regardless of what pump spells you have, would be 2 creatures. That way you have some kind of redundancy. But you can't always get that. As you saw in the one game, we mulliganed down to 5 and we were lucky to find 1 creature. But it's definitely an enjoyable deck. It's a very cheap one if you want to get into the Pauper format on a budget. There's plenty of links over on MTG Goldfish showing off the Infect deck. But thank you all for watching. Feel free to comment below what you thought about this video, what you think about the deck in general, or if you have any decks you'd recommend me go over. I'm thinking about doing some primers and stuff like that, and hopefully in the modern format would be nice. And feel free to subscribe and join the bonfire. I just want to remind you all to keep burning bright, and you guys have a great day. Goodbye.